Is this one a must-win for the Bucks after what we saw game one?
I believe it is. I believe it is. First of all, I picked Miami to win this series in 7. I think that Miami, they got the heart of lions, and they go after it, and they defend, and they play so hard all the time. Typical Pat Riley team, as Max Kellerman pointed out yesterday. Jimmy Butler led the way, dropped 40 in game 1. Goran Dragic can ball, he dropped 27. Tyler Hero didn't even get off. Neither did Duncan Robinson. Don't expect that to continue. Kendrick Nunn and all of these boys, Bam Adebayo, his activity on both ends of the floor is contagious as well. And I think with Milwaukee, here's your problem. Giannis is not an elite perimeter shooter. And so as a result, most of his noise is made on the interior, driving to the basket, dunking on folks, finishing in the open court, obviously defending, providing weak side help and things of that nature. Well, against Miami, as I've said on repeated occasions when it comes to playoff basketball, teams get back on defense. They slow the game down. They turn you into a half-court team. And that's when your abilities as a basketball player really, really needs to shine. We got a guy at 7'1", Brook Lopez, that's operating 20 feet away from the basket or further. Eric Bledsoe, still suspect in the postseason. Malcolm Brogdon is no longer there. George Hill has been a bit suspect as well. Miami matches up against this team well, and more importantly, they got killer instincts. When they smell blood, they're like sharks in blood-infested water. And I think if they win game 2, that's exactly what they will smell, and they will close Milwaukee out. Milwaukee has to take this game. Otherwise, Miami may take their heart.
Okay. The Celtics are still undefeated, and so are the Heat in the playoffs. Like, these teams are rolling, and either one of these teams could win a championship this year. I agree with Jimmy Butler, and I thought so before the playoffs started, especially when Hayward was healthy for the Celtics. But just because the Heat, even if they do jump up 2-0 on the Bucks, and even if they are a bad styles matchup, and I don't want to take anything away from the Heat, talking about just, they have a difficult style for the Bucks. They may have a difficult style for anyone. They could be the best team this year. Let's see this thing play out. But I don't think going down 0-2 to this Heat team is the end of this series either, Stephen A., just as I didn't think the Raptors falling down 0-2 is the end of the Celtics series. First of all, home court. That should favor the team with the better record, in this case, the Bucks. However, they're down 0-2. And if they lose, they'd be down 0-2. And you would say, well, that's a shame there was no home court advantage in this series, because maybe they wouldn't go down 0-2 had they been at home. Maybe it'd at least be 1-1 were they to lose this upcoming game. But the flip side to that is you can go down 0-2. It's not like you're going on the road and playing in Miami now. It's still a neutral court. And so maybe if they were down 0-2, had they lost somehow the first 2 games in Milwaukee and now had to go to Miami, maybe I would agree with you. Even if I wouldn't say it's over, I'd be like, well, it's pretty much over. I don't feel that way right now. All it takes is one win on a neutral floor, and we're all singing a different tune. Because a 2-1 series, you're thinking, okay, still anyone can win this series. So I know why normally it would feel that way. I don't feel that way about this Bucks team. Now, last year, Kawhi, listen, it was a bad styles matchup also, and Kawhi took their heart. Okay, I understand that, and maybe the Heat can do the same thing in this series. But I've seen Giannis now in 2 consecutive seasons be a regular season MVP. I'm sure he's quite aware of people like you, Stephen A., and I agree with you, saying, hold up, you can't answer a question like that about why you weren't D'ing a certain player who you needed to defend in a critical moment. You have to take that. I'm sure he's hearing that criticism. He's obviously intensely competitive. I do not think it would be beyond Giannis, even down 0-2, especially going to a neutral court, to start playing much better. If they're going to build a wall, find the open man. You have shooters on your team, so I don't think the series is over if they go down 0-2.
Well, here it is. The Bucks need this game, too, like a janitor needs cleaning supplies. And, Max, I don't know what you're watching, but I'm watching a Miami Heat team that has the Bucks number. They have the recipe. I said this time and time again on this show. Eric Spoelstra has put together a great game plan in stopping Giannis. He's walling up. When he get it in half court, he's baiting Giannis to take jumpers. The worst thing that could have happened for Giannis in game one was in the first quarter, Giannis hit a wide open three, and Giannis hit a face-up jumper. All of a sudden, he thought he had it going, and the Heat said, no, we're going to live with that. And they did. And what happened down the stretch? He couldn't buy a bucket. He couldn't even make a free throw. So they do need this game, too. And I'm scared for the Milwaukee Bucks for the simple fact that Miami really didn't play that well. If you watch that game, they missed about 12 layups. And bam, he missed a couple of dunks, put-back dunks. They had a couple of unforced turnovers to start the fourth quarter. And by the way, Chris Middleton and Brook Lopez, they had great nights, and they lost. The game plan is not about to change. They're going to continue to wall up on Giannis. They're going to do an even better job on Giannis because a couple of layups, I seen it on Eric Spoelstra's face when he called timeouts, was like, we cannot do that. He said that in his pregame, during the game when he had his interview, he said that wasn't our defense. Offensively, we got 29 points, but we cannot give up 40. And what they did in the second quarter, they held them to 20.
Go ahead, Max.
Go ahead, Max.
Well, I agree. I agree with both of your analysis here, and I think actually we're kind of doing the Heat wrong when we just talk about the Styles matchup. As like they were a bad Styles matchup for the Pacers too, weren't they? They might be bad for anyone, meaning they could be the best this year. They could go all the way. I'm not denying that. I would point out that even going into these playoffs, who did we point to? Bledsoe, because Middleton is really not he's a two guard. He's not a one. And they need a guy who can take you off the dribble, create for himself, create for others.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.